Hey guys. Hey, I just wanted to do another alchemy video and share what I've been experiencing and what I've been working with, what I've been playing with, and integrating, meeting with love, and showing up for. And it has been like this last month has been pretty challenging in a lot of ways, but I know it is for growth and for stretching my comfort zones and teaching me how to be true to me and showing me what parts that I can invite, reclaim, rename, or unname, and meet with love to unify. Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of archetypes that have come up for me, especially in the last week or two. But like for the whole month, there's been quite a few, and it's just I was joking with a friend a couple days ago and telling her it was kind of exhausting work trying to make them cooperate and behave, but like yeah, that's kind of silly too. Um, and so yeah, it's all about cooperation and about harmonization, and there's all these different parts like that play different roles, and their roles are legitimate, and those parts and those characters are right, and they're there to help me like be round and full. And so yeah, just a circle of all the parts in the whole. And so a lot of those aspects that have come up for me are actually challenging aspects because, yeah, I've never really allowed myself to acknowledge them or allow them. I don't usually see like certain uh, personality traits or qualities in myself because, yeah, um, kind of was attached to an identity of a people pleaser. And so, yeah. And it's just like yelling and like talking down at people or any of that kind of stuff. That's just not me. That's not how I roll. But like, I realize that there are like parts of me that are quite smug, like the know it all, and can be arrogant at times too, and just really dislikes ignorance. And yeah, I've just seen that come up in certain ways that I sometimes like haven't seen those qualities in myself. Of course, we can see them in others, and definitely sometimes judge them when we see them in others, but we don't sometimes want to see those things in ourselves because we don't want to be judged. Yeah. So we've been judging harshly like these archetypes that we see in others, but we all have them in certain ways, um, in our own like personality. And so, yeah, it's just kind of funny to see that like the bitch archetype come up, which she is a good ally of mine, and I realize like that she is there like for my benefit, to stand up for myself, to speak up for myself, and if I need to like stand my ground, hold my ground, like she's a good ally to help me do that. And uh, I get to I get to honor her and claim her and work with her and let her play. Yeah, let her play her game, let her play her roles, let her play her parts. And yeah, she's a legit part of the whole. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny. With the Enneagram, I don't know if any of you guys listening have heard of the Enneagram, but it's kind of like associated with the Sufi or the mystical branch of Sufism, and it's like kind of a personality traits, dominant, yeah, kind of system to work with the personality and the qualities that we have. And with that test, I can identify like with almost every single personality, because it just, yeah, I'm like a chameleon. It seems like I can get along with a lot of different types of people, because I like a lot of different everything. I love everything. And so I have a lot of, yeah, different interests and things. And so I can usually find something in common with just about anyone. And yeah, I feel like a, yeah, pretty pliable, yeah, um, chameleon sometimes, where, yeah, and I'm a sponge, and I soak up like the qualities of the mirror or the other. I don't know, I guess I'm just so empathetic that I start to, yeah, mimic or just mirror those things, like tone of voice and mood and everything. And I guess that's because, like, in a big way, I've always wanted to like merge with people, or yeah, have that kind of connection. And maybe that's just like part of my strategy to my survival strategy, where to be included and to belong, yeah, just kind of take on what the other person broadcasts or whatever they want, you know, kind of go with their programs and stuff, to just go along to get along in a lot of ways. But that's changed for sure, especially like in the last couple years, but especially so in the last year, yeah, where I actually do like have a little more like I'm a little more grounded, I guess, and embodying my own self instead of like trying to be whatever whoever wants me to be. Yeah, that, and fit that image of whatever I feel like they need me to be. And so that's different way of being, and it's a different way of operating too, and it is interesting to, yeah, to show up that way in some of my relationships where, yeah, I hadn't been like grounded or embodying like my truth and like my own like intentions and all that. And so it's kind of funny. Going back to the Enneagram, I could identify like with every single one of those personality traits except for the boss. And I could not see those traits in me whatsoever. And it's supposed to be like one of my wings with my dominant. Hey, buddy. And I actually have started seeing that archetype come up. And I didn't realize, yeah, like how strong it actually is in me, even though I don't force, I'm not bossy to other people. That's just not my style, because I want everyone to have their own their own thing and their own choice, and yeah, and be comfortable with how they are, how they choose to be, and who they are. But yeah, it's just kind of funny seeing the boss archetype come up in certain ways, like where I do realize like how much I do want things to be my way sometimes, like, and I want people to see things my way, and like, why can't they see things, like, why can't they look at things the way I look at things, or why can't they see what I see, and those kinds of things. So I've had, yeah, some fun lessons like with certain stories this week, and yeah, just tracking them and following those stories and seeing where they lead and what they have to show me, what they have to give me and teach me. And so it's been really interesting to include the boss and the know-it-all, the smug one, you know, and yeah, just own it. So it's good humility too, like, and more understanding too. I feel like I have a better, deeper understanding of where that comes from, and like why we kind of employ the know-it-all sometimes as a protector or a guard. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny to look at it that way. But yeah, for the last little while, I have been like working actively uh, with my anger and directing my anger and like creating and yeah, just allowing myself to feel angry when I feel angry and pay attention when I'm going into my stories and when I'm feeding the anger or when the anger's starting to run or activate different programs that are connected to the body of pain. And I realized, like, yeah, for the first little while, I was really, really, really angry at the authorities and the just the ass clowns that are like orchestrating bullshit and perpetrating fraud and lying and trying to push their own agendas that, yeah, are self-serving interests, like through by deceiving the public and all of that. And so there was a lot of good stuff to work with there about, yeah, all those things that I was so angry about. And I got, yeah, a lot of good stuff, a lot of good insights about why it bothered me so much, and huge insight about like my own fraud and being willing to show up in more transparent ways and in, yeah, just honoring integrity and authenticity and vulnerability and being more honest with myself too. And so, yeah, that was huge, and that was amazing opportunity for me to work with that anger so I could realize all that. And so, yeah, I've cleared a lot of that now. I'm not like, I'm still irritated, of course, by like deception and by like things that aren't on the up and up, especially if they're like, yeah, have premeditated motives and ill intent. Yeah, it bothers me, and rightly so. But I'm not as like so charged about some of that stuff now. Like I can actually work with it, accept that it is what it is, and realize that like there's a greater picture and there's a greater plan to all of it. And it is actually a catalyst to help us grow and to help us claim our discernment skills, help us develop our discernment skills and hone those skills, refine those skills. Just how we learn. And so, yeah, there's something to be grateful for there, even though it sucks to be betrayed and lied to or to feel like we have. Like, there is an opportunity to see, like, where we might be betraying ourselves or betraying certain parts of ourselves. So, yeah. The next, like, part of the anger, too, came up in different ways where it's not being mad at some, like, yeah, some tyrant and some psychopath, but actually being angry or feeling angry with some of my friends and some of my family, and like just paying attention to that, like why is that coming up and what am I really angry about, and am I really angry about the way they choose to see things, or am I angry that they won't see them my way? And so, like, there was some good stuff to look at there, like, where I did want people, like, why can't you fucking see it my way? Like, why can't you see this? It's so obvious to me. Like, but yeah, and then realizing, well, yeah, nobody else is me. Nobody's going to see what I see. Nobody else is going to see the same ways that I see. So, like, really, like, let go of that. Like, having people see certain things in my way, but, like, maybe planting seeds and maybe offering things so they can see it in their own way and see what they need to see all they need to see, how they need to see it. And so it's really not my job, and I know that, like, not to convince anyone of anything. But, like, it is frustrating when people have such sometimes different ideas and constructs of the world that they don't even understand or can barely relate to the ideas that I'm expressing. So that can be, like, pretty frustrating. And like, that's why, yeah, wanted to work on some communication too, so that we could have more open, authentic exchanges that do, like, contribute to clarity and to understanding, instead of, like, who's right and who's wrong. And, like, if one person gets to be right and one person has to be wrong, like, that's I don't know, like that just doesn't seem to be the ideal thing. So what if both people could be right and feel right and still be different and have different ways of thinking, seeing, perceiving, and all of that, like, but still meet each other somewhere. And so, because yeah, we do have that place where we can meet, common ground, common roots, and all of that, source, and all of that. So, just paying attention to like why I was disappointed, and it goes back to my dream that I had March 1st. And I was aware of like certain themes that were popping up, but I didn't realize like how deeply like they would affect me, and that how deeply I did feel about certain things, and how high my expectations were for some of my friends, my spiritually minded friends that are open to a lot of things, like outside of like the normal little box or bubble. I expect more of them because they're already like have a wide perspective about some things, and I just don't see sometimes why is it so far of a stretch. Like, if you already believe in this, to believe in that, you know, like, instead of calling it conspiracy or whatever. And it's just kind of like feeling defensive because of the word, yeah, conspiracy, and how it's synonymous with like crazy and weird and wacko and whatever, like just a way to dismiss or demean someone for not conforming to mainstream like thought and discussion. So like, yeah, there is some personal like feelings about that, like about being judged, yeah, for not being so indoctrinated. And I guess maybe I was judging other people for being really indoctrinated and really brainwashed or conditioned into believing certain things that don't fit my views, and but I'm aware of them, and I came from those views too. Like, I'm just remembering that like the things that I know and the things that I've learned, it took me, yeah, some experience and some many years of searching and investigating and excavating and looking at things. And it didn't happen overnight, and there was a big huge grieving process that went along with that, with like grieving the old and acknowledging like the feelings of betrayal and of being wrong, like realizing that everything that I was taught was wrong, or was a lie, or was twisted or distorted to fit certain agendas and programs for control. And so like, yeah, I know it's really really hard to wake up to that kind of stuff because it is painful, and the world shatters and the tower collapses, and it's like rock bottom sometimes, like, and we got to pick up the pieces and rebuild. And that's, yeah, just sometimes what it gets to be, what sometimes like what initiation is, like when it all falls apart. And so like, although I do want some of my friends to really know about some of the things that are really important to know about, because it does hurt us sometimes, like the things that we don't know, you know. And so like wanting to be able to share awareness and spread information that's empowering, and also so we know what we're dealing with, we know what's been going on, we know what we've created, then we can learn like how to create something better. And so it's like, yeah, how do we share with people like some of this dark stuff, this dark shadow stuff, when people don't want to see it, but like at the same time I feel like it's necessary, it's really necessary to see it, but it's scary to look at, and we need to see it because we need to understand what we've been putting our energy into, what we're supporting, what we're reinforcing. And in order to do that, yeah, we need to look at the whole thing, not just different parts and pieces, or the pieces that we like, you know. And for me, like, the reason I would always question everything too is because things didn't add up to me, and I could see through some of the programming. Like, since I was a little kid, it didn't make sense to me. A lot didn't make sense to me because I could see different things, and I could identify different patterns. I could see them in certain ways, but I didn't know like how to articulate that, or that like not everybody saw those things or whatnot. And so like I've always been really curious, and I'm pretty intuitive and empathetic, and so yeah, I do see a lot of depth where most people only look at the surface of things. And I always wanted to understand like why the world was the way it was, and why we did the things we did, and what it was all about. And so yeah, just always looking into things, looking past the surface of things, really, really wanting to put myself in the other person's shoes to understand, to imagine like what it could be like for them, and how like I might be exactly where they are if I had gone through their experiences. So I'd always use my imagination to like put myself in their place, and or put, you know, yeah, put a part of myself in their place, to try and relate as best I could and empathize like with the situation, to try and understand as best I could like how they felt, where they were coming from, what they were experiencing. And so I've always looked at people like that and always had patience for a lot of things, because I realize like that there's a lot going on with all of us, and that like it's just, we're here to learn, we're here to help each other and teach each other and learn together. And yeah, not everybody like thinks the way that I do, and that's okay. Like we all have our own ways and our own things. And so like sometimes like I do expect people to see things, you know, deeply, and I expect higher things of like people, because I do see the best. I see the best of the best in people, and I usually do see like their gifts and qualities. That's like definitely like the first thing that I like focus on, is like the light in people, and like yeah, all of that. But then like when I see like yeah, it's like the rose colored glasses. So sometimes those rose colored glasses fall off, and I actually see like, you know, the baggage, or like yeah, some kind of complex, or just some kind of pattern. And that yeah is like kind of an earth shattering like view that brings me back down to reality. And then yeah, my idealist gets angry because it should be a certain way. And yeah, it just disappoints me. Like I have just huge expectations, like, and it's funny because I've always had those expectations for myself too, like where I need to be like perfect, or in certain ways, which there is no such thing. It's only mastery. And so yeah, it's just kind of feeling disappointed though, because because my friends, you know, like they're pretty awesome in a lot of ways, and they know a lot of amazing wisdom, but like for some of them not to be open to certain things like really freaking shocked me. And it was just kind of like, are you kidding me? Like and yeah, just those kinds of things. So in my dream, I was upset with one of my friends in my dream when she wasn't really getting stuff. She was feeling empathetic, but she wasn't really getting it. And I realized, yeah, that is like something I do have, like expectations for my elders, mentors, teachers, and like spiritual leaders, and people that do like already have like an expansion, you know, of their consciousness and their awareness, like from like the I guess totally sleeping consumers who don't have awareness of certain things yet, or yeah, I just kind of felt like, a little judged and like misunderstood. And that was like one of the other things, is just like, that's one of my fears, being misunderstood, and being judged unfairly or being judged harshly. But like, I know in a lot of ways I do that to myself. Yeah, and totally look at like where I'm judging other people for their limitations, and knowing that limitations are right, because that is exactly like where we get to grow from, is our limitations, and they're not really limitations. Yeah, when we look at them that way, they're just something that we get to build on and work with and play with and refine, and develop. So yeah, like knowing at the same time, like all of these things, making it impersonal, but then like sometimes it's personal, and that's where like my blinders come in sometimes, when certain things are personal, or when they trigger me in certain ways because of a wound. That's when I can get blindsided and lose my own way. So I want to use an example of that. I have a friend who I care about a lot, and like, I don't know anyone else like her. She's like just the most amazing person, and I've really wanted to spend like more time with her, or cultivate like a closer relationship, or just like be able to to share time together, even if it's just a couple times a year, like, because I love the conversations that we do have, and like the shared interests, that we enjoy. And like, I've just felt like kind of abandoned, like in a way, like for a long time, where I don't feel like she's reciprocating like my efforts. Like, I try and reach out and send her things every once in a while, every couple weeks, messages, videos, just things I've written or whatever, and just say hi. But it just seems like for a long time, she's just too busy for me, too busy to show up for me. And so like, that was my story too, is like, she's too busy for me. But then like, realizing, where am I too busy for me too, like looking at things in those ways, and seeing where I could show up for myself, and like where I was really needing something, like, So it's good to see that, like, someone's absence or someone's presence can tell us a lot, and they can show us a lot, and they can teach us a lot, like, and so sometimes absence is good, because it helps us show up for ourselves, and like, instead of depending on someone else and that codependent dynamic and stuff. But when it's consistent though, and things don't feel like that there is a reciprocity there, it kind of feels crappy, like, because it does take two, to show up for a relationship. And so just my expectations and my desires to have a close relationship, and to be able to be closer with her, because I consider her like a sister, a teacher, and a friend, and like kind of like a maternal figure too, because she's wise and just wow. And so I sent her lots of messages, and I just sometimes don't hear anything back. And like, like a lot of the times I know it's like no strings attached, but it would just be really nice, sometimes to get that acknowledgement back, or that like, I guess that gift or that love or whatever it is, that exchange. And also, you know, she has like committed to like getting with me or spending time or catching a minute here and there. Like I'm busy right now, but we can talk soon or whatnot. And that's like, okay, awesome, let's do that. But then time goes on and there's nothing. And it's like, why aren't you following through? It's like, why aren't you following through? Why aren't you showing up and like, yeah, honoring your word? Why am I not important to you? Like, and so like, yeah, following those stories. Like, I wish I was important. I wish I was valued. I wish you had time for me. I wish you were more open. And so like all those things, like that's what I'm needing. So how can I give that to myself? Like, where am I not following through, or where can I follow through in more ways, like to honor myself in that like exchange? Where can I be more open with myself, open with others? Where can I show up more fully? Where can I be a better friend to myself? Because I really felt like I was, yeah, my feelings were hurt. And I was just kind of thinking to myself, just a really shitty friend. You're not a very good friend. Like, it doesn't feel very good, you know? So I was just kind of feeling guilty for feeling those things. But like at the same time, I was going to allow myself to feel that and to listen to the story that was being told. And like, it was a pretty sad story, and it does have to do with like my orphan, my abandoned child. And that was one of my dominant archetypes, is the orphan. And one of the dominant archetypes that goes along with that is the mother. And the mother is a huge archetype, huge influence in my life. Always felt a definite connection to the mother, to the great mother, and to just the physical mother, and to Mother Earth, and just to, yeah, the spirit of mother. Yeah, that's who I am. And so I got to learn how to be like my own loving mother for my own inner child. And that's what I've been doing the last, like, well, all my life really, but yeah, especially with the alchemy work, the last 5, being my own mother and showing up like to take care of, yeah, to take care of this child here. And so, yeah, I could see like how it related to like that abandonment story, and to the orphan and the cruel abandoning mother like figure, because that's kind of like how the story was playing in my head, is that she was cruel, and that, yeah, she didn't care, and that she didn't have time for me, and I wasn't important, and I wasn't valued, and I wasn't enough, and all of that kind of stuff. And it was like, knowing like all that stuff, like, it's not true. I am important, and I am valued, and I am enough, and I am my own friend, and I am a good friend, and I can follow through, and all of that. So yeah, just working with that kind of stuff, and still like feeling like charged. Yeah, when that wound is activated, sometimes again, that it's like an invitation, and it's a message for me to soothe my own inner child, and attend to me, and yeah, show up for me and follow through for me. And so, yeah, that's my lesson in alchemy, is show up for me. That I'm also like not, you know, going to pretend like everything's okay, like with this dynamic, because it's really not. And so I feel like maybe some withdrawal is in order, or maybe just a message of, you know, I feel really bad. You've told me before that you'll make time, you know, for us to get together, but you don't follow through, and I feel like you haven't been a very good friend. So I feel like that's appropriate to, like, to set boundaries and to say so, and but also like take accountability for my stuff, and now also, yeah, use it as a lens and a reflection to see like where I can honor like the integrity as a whole. Yeah. And yeah, so those were some good things to see and to realize and to play with and to free. And so yeah, some good alchemy. And yeah, just letting everyone be as they are too, like, and know that it's perfect, and know that it's right, and it's all in divine timing, and it's all right. So like, we're supposed to learn things when we get to learn things, and we'll learn when it's time for us to learn, and that's what we're always doing. So yeah, we all have our blind spots and our own limitations. And so just like acknowledging that, realizing that, allowing that, and welcoming that, and like accepting and being appreciative of those things, yeah. Instead of in resistance or judgment about it. So yeah. I hope that helps with explaining some of the alchemical like processes and like using stories and the archetypes to do this work, this inner work, this shadow work. Yeah, the reason that I'm sharing mine is so it's an intention to help others like kind of see how, you know, maybe I'm doing it, or like how I work with certain stuff, so maybe they can take different things and apply it to their own lives. And yeah, hopefully it just helps like me sharing it in vulnerability, like what this actually is, so it's relatable. Yeah. And yeah, that's why I'm doing this like too. A couple of years ago when I started doing videos, it was really for myself, so that I could express things, just like, yeah, just to speak it all out too, because sometimes it's like all of it's all pent up in there and not sure like what wants to be expressed. And sometimes if you just allow yourself to start talking, we do have like the answers. And there's this the funniest thing, sometimes that's why it's so helpful for someone just to listen to us, because just to witness, and then like if we have someone holding that space for us, we'll just talk, and all of a sudden like we don't even know what we're going to say, but like we just give ourselves like that answer and that message that we need. It's just kind of funny how it does unfold if we do hold the space. And so yeah, that's pretty awesome there. And so yeah, it's just getting uncomfortable like just talking about things and expressing things, and seeing where it leads without having it need to be anything. Well, that's just how art goes and how art is. So, well, awesome. So I'll probably do another video like related to some of my other alchemy practices and what I've been integrating. But yeah, I think that's awesome for now. Thanks for listening. And if you guys have any questions about any of the previous videos or about any of this work, yeah, just ask and let me know. I'd love to answer questions. If you want to give the video like, you can, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you again. Okay, thanks. Be well. See ya.